The yellow brick road rises across Oz as soldiers force animals to work until a shadow cuts across the sky. Elphaba dives from the clouds, blasting the chains apart and sending the soldiers fleeing as the animals scatter into the fields. Across Oz, fear spreads. Posters paint Elphaba as a threat, and Madame Morrible's voice echoes from the towers, warning the people that she's become unstoppable. In the capital, Glinda floats carefully down inside a bubble machine Morrible built for her, practicing the graceful landing expected of her new public role. Fireworks explode in Munchkinland as Glinda unveils the finished road. The crowd cheers, unaware that behind the celebration, Glinda and Fiyero quietly argue about Elphaba's safety. Their engagement announcement shocks them both, the cheers drowning out their unease. A green streak cuts through the smoke. Elphaba tries to write in the clouds, but Morrible twists the sky into a threat that terrifies the crowd. Soldiers and flying monkeys surge after Elphaba. The chase slams into a forest, where she and Fiyero lock eyes, unsure if they're enemies now. Far away, Nessa rules Munchkinland with Bok, assigned to protect her. When she restricts animal travel without warning, Bok's hope of progress collapses. The train station fills with confused travelers, learning they can no longer leave. Elphaba flies along the yellow brick road and finds animals escaping underground. She pleads with them to stay safe, only for the grown lion to accuse her of ruining his life. The animals march into the tunnel, leaving her standing alone in the torchlight. At Nessa's home, anger explodes. Nessa blames Elphaba for everything: their father, their past, her struggles. Elphaba enchants Nessa's shoes to help her walk freely, but Bok arrives, confesses he never loved Nessa, and the moment spirals out of control. Nessa grabs the spellbook, a spell misfires, and Bok collapses. Elphaba tries to reverse it, but the only result is the Tin Man rising from the floorboards, horrified at his new form. Nessa screams as Elphaba vanishes into the night. On the day of Glinda and Fiyero's wedding, Elphaba storms into the Emerald City, and Glinda chooses, for the first time in years, to go with her. Inside a hidden room, Elphaba discovers rows of caged animals, including Dr. Dilliman, who can no longer speak. Rage ignites. She shatters the locks, releasing them just as the ceremony begins. The animals crash through the wedding in a wild stampede. Guests scatter. Fiyero grabs Glinda, pushes her behind columns, then rushes back into danger. Elphaba confronts the wizard, slams him back with her broom, and Fiyero arrives just in time to seize him. Glinda appears in shock as Fiyero and Elphaba run off together, the palace alarm screaming behind them. Deep in the woods, Elphaba and Fiyero fall into each other's arms, finally admitting everything they've held back. But Morrible's storm rolls across the sky, lightning spiraling unnaturally, winds ripping the land apart. A house tears through the clouds and drops into Munchkinland, right onto Nessa. Elphaba sees the crash in a vision and flies toward the disaster. At the wreck, Glinda hands Nessa's enchanted shoes to a lost girl named Dorothy and sends her down the road for protection. When Elphaba arrives, grief twists instantly into fury. The two women clash, broom against wand, until soldiers swarm. Fiyero bursts in, seizes Glinda at arrow point, and forces the guards to release Elphaba. She escapes in a storm of wings as Fiyero is captured. Elphaba races to her hideout and tears through the spellbook under torchlight. She calls on every spell she can find to save him, but the magic reshapes him instead, twisting him into the scarecrow to keep him alive. Still shaking, she vows she will now be everything they fear. Dorothy, the lion, the Tin Man, and the scarecrow arrive in the Emerald City, where the wizard sends them after the broom. Bok gathers a furious mob, ready to storm Elphaba's last refuge. In the palace, Glinda discovers the truth. Morrible created the tornado that killed Nessa. Morrible threatens her, but Glinda escapes on horseback into the night. At Elphaba's tower, winged monkeys snatch Dorothy and bring her to the witch. Elphaba just wants the shoes back, but time is running out. Glinda arrives, desperate to stop the war forming outside. Elphaba decides to surrender to protect her, but makes Glinda promise to keep her legacy alive. They embrace for the last time before Elphaba vanishes behind a door. The mob storms in. Dorothy throws a bucket of water, and Elphaba collapses, leaving only her hat. Glinda watches, heartbroken, as Dorothy takes the broom and leaves. Chistery appears, speaking for the first time, and hands Glinda the green bottle Elphaba always kept hidden. Glinda confronts the wizard with the bottle, realizing exactly who he is. She orders him to leave Oz forever. She then confronts Morrible, sending the monkeys to carry her away as punishment. With the chaos ending, Glinda becomes the new leader of Oz. At night, in the ruins of the tower, a panel lifts. Fiyero pulls Elphaba out from her hiding place. She survived. She tells him that Glinda can never know. The two melt into the shadows together, while Glinda stands before the people of Oz, changing everything in Elphaba's name. The grimoire glows faintly in Glinda's hands. Somewhere far beyond the desert, Elphaba walks toward a new life, but the world she left behind will never forget her.